Before we move on through the tutorial, I want to point out one button that we haven't covered that much. This is the Do Action menu. What the Do Action menu does is it allows you to do these different actions. You do the selected action, add a new record to a parent record, go into Find mode. When you click on Find mode, it flips and gives you these little magnifying glasses. You type in whatever you think should be in there. I'll just put the letter T in there, say Go. What it does is it found top. So you can do a partial or any part of the actual thing. And if you needed to bring the records back, make sure you do the Show All, which now brings back all the records other than the one you were actually viewing. You can go ahead and when you're doing the find, when I did the Perform button, Perform Find, that's what goes out. Instead of clicking the Go button, I could have clicked this and done the find. The Show All, as I just showed you, to return all the records that you'd have now to the current selection. When you do a find, you have a subgroup of records that match whatever the find is. If you go scrolling through a page or a list view and you see that some of the items are missing from the screen, just go up and hit Show All and they'll all return to the screen. Sometimes people get all shocked because they think, oh, I'm supposed to have 5 items in my list here and there's only 1 because somebody's done a find. That's not so true on the portal, but it is when you do a find, you would find it that you're short of the balance of the items. Now I want to point out why we're in here when you do a find. You cannot do a find on the multi-listed line items in a portal. That's true. So what you'd have to do is actually go to the individual portal record by clicking on the button in the portal and then running the find within there, and it'll find anything that's in this area depending on what field you populate with information to hunt for that item. Now here's the next thing. You can go in here and you could do next, previous, first, and last to move up and down through the records, or when you did a find, if you did it at the top level and you put in something like 46-foot cabin cruiser, it's only going to find that one record unless there's another major 46-foot cabin cruiser that you've added to your parent records for a different record, so it stands individually. Omit will omit the current record you're viewing, and usually you do this within a list view, and we're going to show you those later. And you would omit one record, and then what you could do is reverse that. Say you omitted a number of records doing a single record at a time, and you say Show Omitted, it'll reverse all the ones you omitted and show those now. That's kind of a clever little way of making things happen that you want to see as far as reversing the records to view what you've omitted. The developer support is actually going to take you to the developer's website where you can chat or ask for help or just view what are the other products that are available in that Developers Work Center. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's do a couple of things. We're going to navigate a little bit more and show you how this works. I could navigate over here to this record, and as I showed you before, I'm in this record where we looked at the ship. What I didn't do, though, was to click on the subassembly report, and what that does, it takes you down to the next level of the item you're viewing, and it shows you this. It shows you the drawing you were viewing, what the subassembly item is in the lower assembly, and the subassembly type drawing. It's going to show you the manufacturer, the weight, the height, the width, and the length. Those are things you'd have to add in there. Now this is just example data, so I didn't have that kind of information, so I didn't put it in. And then if you put in a manufacturer's cost, then your price that you're selling it at, this would give you a way to automate your costing and pricing. And this is really nice if you're in the field and you need to follow on and find the cost of items that you're actually going to be putting up for sale and showing a client before you go to the client. Now you wouldn't normally show the client this screen. You would show them those ones where the portal records were at the top level, because this does show cost and price in here, and it's probably not something you want to show. Now down here, each one of the individual elements that are in here would be something you'd break down and actually have a photo of it so you can tell what the image is, put in the information for the part picture, and you can do a portal to the picture itself and show it in a larger view. Let's just bounce over there and do that, and then we'll go back. And while you're in here too, you can see the same information we were looking for, and now you can take individual data information and add it here that has more clarification as far as the textual information for this. Now I can go back to the component list view, and all the components in this list view, now I said I was going to go to list views, shows you the item itself, the assembly drawing, the part notes down here, and then how many the quantity is required for each one of these. That gives you a thing that, for example, if I wanted to look up by drawing number or part number or the name or the notes, I can actually search in a note field if there was a unique word in there or something I wanted to see within one of these records. I could do that. And you can see here, you're looking at the record now. If you go ahead and want to replace that image in there, you can do that like we talked about before, so you have the ability to move around through the different products. So let's go back into the catalog again, and this time I'm going to go down to the subassembly level and I'm going to drop in there. And you can see this is how you get to the subassembly that we just tracked through a few minutes ago. And there's a parts report which we're going to show you next. And the parts report takes by the subassembly, lower assembled drawing, and the lower assembled level. It's going to break down all the parts that you add in there, and then it's going to sub-summarize them. So if you're looking at, say, for example, the water tank, and you wanted to see all the attaching parts plus the water tank, this is going to give you the value for the price and the cost and the parts total for that particular item. You can, if you do a find in this area and you need to bring the data at the top back again, just click the Run Report button, and that'll put the blue line up back in here that has the summary of what you're looking at. In this case, it's the Hall Assembly fuel tank, and down here it's the engine mounting bracket. If we scroll down, you'd be able to see it's the water tank and the items that were in that. You can actually come in now, if you're considering what this can do, you can do a find and say I only look for either this part number or some other thing on here that I want to find, like this part number for an individual part, and it'll bring up that record. But if you do it at an assembly level, for example, I want to look at the hull or the bolts for the mounting attachment or a part number like that, it will bring up only those items and total them for you. So that's a nice way to get around. Let's navigate a little bit more. Let's go over here and look at the catalog list view. And the catalog list view shows you the parts, drawings, catalog, and list view. Now you can go over here and you can say edit in one of those records. It takes you back over to the catalog for that particular item. Let's go back again, and the next thing we're going to look at is the drawing portal package view. This is the one we looked at before that has the individual boat, and you can scroll. I'm just showing you what's available. Then the list view for the package. A little bit different looking with different information. Keep in mind that any place that you're looking at here, if you do a find, you can pick the individual kind of item you want to look at and then have that break out the other information as far as lower assembly part numbers and so forth. So you can actually get them sequencing in here by what they are, and you can see what drawing size and name of the item and the assembly level that they're at and the top level that they belong to, the parent top level. So if I wanted to see all the drawings for this particular parent, I could go in there and I could see the assembly drawings and the drawing names for that particular item. Going down to the next one, we're looking at the subassembly drawings. We looked at this before and we know how we can navigate through here, but there's also a thing called component list. And now the component list is in here. We can jump right from that other record. So I'm going to kind of go from place to place and just show you how you can navigate back and forth. Then the drawing lists. This is the area where you can look at the individual items and do a find based on these to get the picture and then the narrative over here of the actual item and the narrative about it. These would be maybe specifications, measurements, whatever you want to put in there that is related to it. You can see you can delete these if you don't want to use them anymore. There's a delete button in there. Let's pull it down. Let's go down to the assembly report. Now this one is the entire assembly, and you can see at this type, this has the top level name and the assembly at the main part, and then all the lower assemblies that are underneath this level of this drawing. So if I did a find in the lower assembly, I would get this top level report information, and then everything that belonged underneath of it is a lower level assembly. So there's several different ways to look at this. And once again, it's going to subprice them. And then down at the very end of this, it's going to do a grand total. So whatever you have in selection as far as records, you have both a sub for each one of them and a grand total. So you can do multiple different lookups and bring them together based on the level of the assembly you're looking at and see the summary of it. Now, how can you use this? If you're looking at things that either match new items that you're going to build, or you want to see what you put into your prior drawings as far as what something is, you can break it out, and then if I wanted to, I could highlight this record, and I say, for example, I don't want to use the item. I can go up and say, omit that. Remember we talked about omitting the record? I took it out. It's not there anymore. So it's not deleted. It's just not there because I didn't put back over here and do show all. Now when I do show all, they're all back again. And now what I want to do is I want to say, let's do the run report. In this case, the report jumped over and showed you the individual items. Let's go ahead and go back now to the component list view. These are the component parts. So for example, you want to find everywhere where there's a 7632929 or something that matches it. Maybe this is a little different part number, but maybe there's matching parts. When I put the stuff in here, I didn't really take a lot of effort to make sure the part numbers were correct. But you can see that this is all on this is on a different level of a lower assembly. So you can put in there the assembly, or you can put in the part number to see how many places that same bolt is used in. And of course, this is the engine mounting pad right here. And of course, like I said before, you can replace those if you want to. And the last thing we have here is the list drawing type, which is the one that I talked about earlier. And this is where you can edit in the catalog so that that information in the catalog is used here in the drawing area here, as far as showing the assembly drawing type. Okay, now we've pretty much covered everything. Typically what happens is there's somebody that has questions, and they can always get in touch with us by using the drop down for the, let's go ahead and show you that you click off this to hide that, and then go down here and just go to the developer's worksite and look at how it brings it up right in the application. It's going to bring up and load the website. Now be aware it takes about, because my website has a lot of pictures on it, it's going to take a little bit of time for this to come up, maybe 15 to 20 seconds before it shows. So be aware that that takes a little bit of time to come up. Once you're on the developer's website, you can go to the chat, which is down in the lower left corner, lower right corner. Click on the chat, and there's between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. on weekdays and is available on the weekends. You can contact us and ask questions. Remember, this application does not charge or have any charge for technical support. There is no follow-on cost. There's no in-app purchases required. Everything that's in this application is one cost only, which your purchase price is, and you get everything that is included in the application. Thank you.